We are live, and I am back with Coach Deb. I look like I scared you. You're like, wait, we're live?
Wait, we're live? Wait, what? Who said we were going on?
I love our Monday sessions together. I feel like we get to hang out.
I know. I quite enjoy them.
It is nice. It is nice. It is nice. So, can you believe it's like September?
No.
Pretty much. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I felt like yesterday we were all, oh my gosh, Corona. And now it's September.
Now it's September.
And it's so funny. I remember when our school closed, it was like March 12th or 13th, and they were closing for 2 weeks. And I was like, what's going to happen in 2 weeks? You know what I mean? And then I remember saying, like, we're still going to have it in the fall. And, you know, just cannot believe it's already here. It felt like it was very far away when I said that.
I know.
So, anyway, you know, for those that have just joined and kind of been a part of this group for only a little while, I'm Coach Carrie and this is Coach Deb, and we go live on Mondays and we do a show, and it just gives us a voice to be able to teach all sorts of things and to be able to share with you some good knowledge. Dropping on you, right? There's so much that we care about and we're passionate about. We always say, regardless of where you are at Disruptive Nutrition, we have a place for you.
Yes.
And so if you haven't yet been a part of one of our more comprehensive programs, this is a great place to be because, you know, we keep teaching.
We do all the teaching.
Because we're teachers.
Exactly. That's all we know. That's all we know how to do. Teach.
24 years. I'm fully retired now, but anyway, I use it now to teach all of you. So talk to us. We're introducing ourselves. I live in Connecticut. Deb, you are?
New Jersey.
We're both on the East Coast. So tell us where you are from. I'd love to be able to know where you are tuning in from. Even if you're watching this on the replay, tell us where you're from. It's always fun to know. We have people from all over the world in this.
Yeah.
I would say mostly the U.S., but we definitely have people from all over. So would love for you to share.
All over the world. So you've planted the PFC seed everywhere you go.
I have lived many places. But people find us from wherever they are, which is the beauty of the internet. So keep telling us where you're from, and we're going to get started. So we're finishing the month. This was a 5-week month. So we have one theme every month that we cover. And this month has been understanding food. Right? And really trying to help you guys dig in a little bit more to what food is all about. Now, when we have our clients doing our 4 weeks to wellness lifestyle launch, this is like stuff that's integrated into the learning. And when they have their own coach, they ask a ton of questions about it. So there's only so much we can teach in like a 15-20 minute lesson. But I think we did a lot this month, Deb. You agree?
We did, yeah. I mean, people, I think, now have a better understanding of blood sugar stabilization and what makes our approach so different from everything else that is out there. And it really is something that needs to be taught to people because that's what your body does naturally. So, you know, we gave them an introduction to that. And then we started talking about our macronutrients, right? We gave them a little bit about protein, fats, and today it's all about the carb. The big C.
I don't know which way you guys see it.
I know.
Right.
The big C.
Yes. And what I think is so amazing is not to say like what makes our approach so different, like we're this trendy new approach.
No, we're not.
The concepts of what we are teaching are all around blood sugar stabilization, which is what every body needs. There just hasn't been correlation about how when our blood sugar is stable, how we can turn into a fat burning machine. Also, we want diets to do what simply balancing our blood sugar correctly does. And the benefits of doing that correctly last for our entire life. It's really about building a relationship and trust with your body. So when you give your body what it needs, it will do for you what you always wanted those diets to do and they never did.
Yep.
So this isn't trendy. This isn't like we're introducing you to something like carb cycling or keto or
intermittent
I don't
fasting.
what?
I said, or intermittent fasting or
No. This is really about what your body needs, and when you give it what it needs, it does what it needs to do. And the guy that kind of figured all of this out was our buddy Mark McDonald. He is one of my partners. I love working with Mark. He himself has said that Disruptive Nutrition's 4 Weeks to Wellness lifestyle launch is something everybody should be doing. I love that. And Mark and I work on a variety of projects together. He developed this, or didn't develop the concept of blood sugar stabilization, but figured it all out in the formula that which is a big part of what we teach, more than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And this is what he's been teaching for that long. And it works for 100% of his clients when they do it right, because 100% of us need our blood sugar stabilized. And when our blood sugar is stabilized consistently, it's amazing what our bodies end up doing for us. Now, all of us have gone through the yo-yo dieting. We have done a ton of stuff to our body that was counterproductive to our blood sugar being stabilized and to our body being able to get to its optimal health. So for some people, it might take a little bit longer to get there, but this is the only way to do it.
Right. And you're also setting yourself up for long-term health. So it's not just, we talk about versus long-term. Yes, it's getting you short-term goals, but also long-term, this is really what your body needs and what is the best for your body.
Gosh, and we aren't getting any younger, Deb.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. You're older than me, though.
I am.
By like a full year? Is it a full year? Not quite a full year. Is it?
Full year. Yeah. I mean, it might be like, we're close to a full year.
Little known secret, Deb and I were childhood friends. We used to play together in our front yards, backyards, sleepovers when we were little kids, like second grade-ish?
Yeah.
First, second grade. And then, you moved to New Jersey and I moved all around Connecticut, and then we lost touch. And then thanks to the Facebook,
we found each other again.
And then you believed me when I was screaming, this is what our bodies need. And she was all, I've done it all, so I might as well maybe listen to Carrie. And here we are now. All right. So let's talk about carbs. I have notes all over the place because carbs they're misunderstood. We said last week fat was misunderstood. So are carbs. Do you know, when people come into our Diet Disruptor squad, we ask, what is your number one nutritional challenge? Inevitably, people say two things.
Yep.
Carbs and sugar cravings.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about both that today.
Yes, we are.
So we think we shouldn't have carbs. Carbs are a problem for me. I can't cut my carbs. It feels like universal truth that you can't have carbs. Like in the 80s when it was universal truth that we should go low fat.
Yes. But I mean,
they can't even have like strawberries.
No, I know. And I think, with a lot of the low carb crazes that came through after the low fat craze in the 80s, I mean, to me, what I think about the 90s, I think about like low carb. Yeah. Just because,
Atkins exactly. Is keto. I hate to burst people's bubbles, but it is. And so here's the thing, and Mark tells his story all the time. He did basically keto, he did intermittent fasting, he did all of it. He was a fitness model. He looked incredible and felt like garbage, and then literally gained it all back because your body was at such a deficit for so long. Yeah. Right. And because he was not giving it one of the three macronutrients it needed on a regular basis: protein, fats, and carbs. Right. We say that PFC is a protein, fat, and carb every 3 to 4 hours so that it balances your blood sugar. If you haven't watched the other episodes, especially the second one this month, I think that's a really powerful one. You can go to units in our Diet Disruptor Squad Facebook group and go and look at the episodes from this month, because that will really help. So let's talk about why carbs are so important.
So one of the most important thing about carbohydrates that people need to understand is your body actually needs carbohydrates, just like we need fat, just like we need protein, right? Your body utilizes carbohydrates. And if any of you have been on low carb diets, you've probably felt like crud had no energy, and that's because you're not giving your body the fuel that it needs, which is basically glucose, right? So in carbohydrates, the way our body, any carbohydrate that we eat, it's going to be broken down into glucose. Glucose is sugar, right?
And glucose is the fuel that our central nervous system needs. So what happens when you're on keto and you're not giving yourself carbs? You're reprogramming your body. That's crazy. You really can't find people that have done keto for more than a couple of years at the most.
No, and then they're like, and most people that are like, I just couldn't do it anymore. Because like you had said, are you going to go your entire life and not eat a taco?
Come on. That's just nonsense.
That's craziness.
And right? But I also think, like, we always talk about the nutritional litmus test. Is it based in science?
Yep.
Would you put your kids on it, and can you do it for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Keto is a no for all of those things. Let's be honest. I mean, it's based in science.
It is. Yeah.
That's simple. All of it is. We could do a water diet, and it's based in science. But would you put your kids on it, and would you do it for the rest of your life? We think we can do it for the rest of our life, and then when you realize you can never have a quesadilla again because it will screw up your body. Right. And to be honest with you, if you think you're going to do it for a short term just to lose a few extra pounds, because people lose weight really fast on it, A, your body, if it loses weight that fast, it's not good for your body. And B, just be ready to be okay with gaining it all back plus more.
Because that's exactly what's going to end up happening.
Yep. Why would you do that? And then you're setting yourself up for a lot of health issues too. So let's talk about that glucose. We can actually think of carbs as brain fuel in a lot of ways. Yeah,
I mean, basically it is, because when you think about it, most people who are on low carb diets have brain fog. That's all I remember from being on a low carb diet. It was brain fog. Constant.
Our central nervous system goes right to our brain, and glucose fuels our central nervous system, right?
And I mean, thinking about it, from a working out standpoint, like you need carbohydrates in order to replenish the energy that you're expending. And you also need the proteins to help you build your muscle mass. But
that's why exactly.
And we have both of them.
And there's two different kinds of carbs, really, simple and complex, right? And we don't want to get into too much about make this confusing, but this is something we actually talk a lot about in our 4 Weeks to Wellness, because we can have some simple carbs. And then we have complex carbs. And the complex carbs, I'll often say an easy way to think about it is that they're denser.
Right.
They're like your rice, like a brown rice, right? That's a denser carb than, say, strawberries.
Right. Because it takes longer for your body to metabolize it and digest it. And so, that's why they call them complex, because it does take longer for your body to break them down.
But they're important too. Because I want that energy to be kind of fed a little bit over time. So we don't want to not do that. But, and it keeps us fuller longer as well. So if we just did simple carbs, we have people in our 4 Weeks to Wellness that will just do berries and apples and some of those lighter carbs as their carbs and PFC.
Yeah.
And they're often the ones when we're troubleshooting, we're I think you need to add some denser carbs into some of your meals.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, because you need a balance of it. I mean, it's like with anything, you need the balance of simple and complex. And
so when we have our glucose levels raised, which is fuel for our central nervous system, it also, though, spikes our blood sugar. Yeah. So we don't want to do that, because if you remember, when we spike our blood sugar, we store fat.
Yep.
Not a good idea.
And you're also releasing insulin. And, the more insulin you release, the more times your body's releasing insulin to try and lower your blood sugar. That can cause over time insulin resistance, and that's not good for your body either.
Right. Great point. So we need the protein. If anybody remembers, if you can write it in there, remember what releases with the protein? Glucagon.
Glucagon, our Star Wars friend.
And when you have your glucagon working with your insulin, when insulin, it raises your blood sugar, glucagon can lower it. And oh my God. And then when you have your fat in there.
Yeah, it keeps you full.
It slows down your digestion. It keeps you full. It gets all your vitamins nice and stocked. It helps you with all the different organs and cushions them. And you need that, because if you don't have the fat in there to help slow down that digestion, then you're not going to actually have the benefit because it's just going to go.
Yep.
Right. So we want to have our digestion slowed down by some of that fat. So there's that really important part of it. So if you have the carb all on its own, so like an apple for a snack is not correct, y'all.
No, it's not.
That's a carb. It's simple, right? But it's still all carbs turn into sugar.
Right.
You need to understand that all carbs turn into sugar. So if you just have an apple, you're going to spike your blood sugar.
Right.
So you want to pair it with a protein and a fat. And it just takes being intentional around that, right?
And I think when we had talked about blood sugar stabilization a couple of weeks ago, you know, one of the most important things is a lot of people think that when you eat healthy, right, just eating healthy, leave out the correct part. When you just eat healthy, a lot of times the foods that you're eating are things like fruit, like oatmeal, but those are also, they're carbs and they're going to spike your blood sugar. And, you know, we talk about this blood sugar roller coaster, and I had shared, you know, that I used to have blueberries and oatmeal for breakfast every morning. I mean, and I was like, oh, I am being healthy, but and then I wondered why I had sugar cravings in the afternoon, right? So we are constantly cycling on this blood sugar roller coaster. And I think that's why people struggle with the sugar cravings, is because they are spiking, you know, they have those peaks and valleys all day, just because of either the food choices that they're making or just being misinformed about food, which is why it was so important this month to do this. So,
and it's so interesting because one of the things that we talk about when one of the things that we hear from our people all the time when they're doing our 4 weeks to wellness is that their sugar cravings are like gone.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really incredible because it is true, because when you're balancing your blood sugar correctly, your sugar cravings go away. Now, Mark McDonald and I have actually had a bunch of conversations recently about sugar cravings, and I'm going to do like a whole show on that because I think it's been really interesting, some of the stuff we've been talking about, because there will be people. I don't see this as much as people in the 4 weeks. It's after the 4 weeks when they're living their lifestyle launch that some of the sugar cravings can sneak back in. And I think it's for two reasons. One is because sometimes we're putting a lot of added sugar into our foods. If we're not eating totally clean and we're on the lifestyle, we talk about how you can have ice cream and like maybe have some turkey before you go to the ice cream store, right? But you're not going to balance your blood sugar perfectly like that. You wouldn't call that correct, but it's not healthy and it's not going to be totally correct. So we're definitely introducing more sugar into our body, and sugar is a drug and it will absolutely spike our blood sugar. It will cause havoc. This one author that we follow says it's like shards of glass in your system and it just causes inflammation. So we definitely introduce more sugar after the 4 weeks to wellness. And that's one piece of that. Also, there's an emotional, it's so interesting that, you know, if you smell cake or smell chocolate and we think, oh my gosh, I have to have it, it actually does do a physiological, and the psychological turns into a physical craving.
Yep.
So Mark and I have been talking a lot, and I'll share more about ways that he's working right now with his clients on helping that part of the blood sugar or the sugar craving piece. But the first part always has to be based in food and PFC as clean as possible, right? And then we're working on some other ways to be thinking about it after that.
There's two things that I'm thinking of, and they're both, one's your personal story, and then I remember you had shared something about your dad also. Where your personal story, like when you first started doing this, you were just eating PFC. You didn't add in the clean component of it also.
I would have like potato chips and like turkey.
I remember you saying your go-to was potato chips and like turkey slices.
Yeah.
But you still feel like you don't feel that great. So there is a component of it where we really need to, and that's why when we talk about the lifestyle, we really think of like that 80-20. Right?
Yeah.
Because we want to maintain, you know, eating clean for 80% of the time, and 20% of the time that's, you know, it
makes such a big difference. And that's why I had so much inflammation. And my skin was a mess. Like it was really bad. So we got to think about all carbs have sugar. So when you look at a label and you see how much carb is in there, you also want to look at that added sugar. Because that added sugar, if it's really high, is even if you're balancing it with a protein and a fat, is still going to impact you negatively. Because it's not just around blood sugar stabilization. Added sugar in and of itself causes all sorts of massive health issues.
Yeah.
And so we want to keep our sugar content down. And that's actually one of the things we always talk about is wine is a carb, right? You and I love wine. And we've always said wine is a carb. Well, it's very hard for us. It's always been very hard for us to be able to coach our clients around exactly what carbs, how many carbs are in wine, because there's no labels on wine.
No labels.
Right? So we always say count it as your carb and add some fresh vegetables, light veggies, right, that are very low in carbs but are high in nutrients. And that's sort of been our approach. Well, over the last year, right, we have done a ton of research on wine and realized that there can be 16 to 32 added grams of added sugar to your glass of wine.
Yep.
And we don't have to know about it because there's no regulations on labels. On top of the chemicals and pesticides that are absolutely in our wines for a lot of reasons that we don't know about, the sugar as well. And it's so that your wine can taste the same year after year, or in box after box that gets delivered to Costco or to Total Wine in the heat, so it doesn't get skunked. And it's a terrible practice, but it happens even in your expensive bottles of wine. That's why we only drink clean crafted wine, because there's a label on every single one. It doesn't matter if it's coming from France or Italy or California or South America. There's a label on them. And I mean, a lot of the wines, one of the wines I drank the other day had 0 grams of residual sugar.
Yeah. Because I mean, themselves have, but once you put it through the fermentation process, you're getting rid of the sugars, which, I mean, that in itself is a science, which is so super cool. I can't even.
Amazing.
And how, like, when you naturally ferment grapes, it's actually better than when they chemically ferment them, which is what a lot of the big box.
Well, because grapes grow their own yeast.
I know.
But when you use pesticides, it wipes all the yeast off. So they all use synthetic yeast.
Yep.
So then you're adding more toxins, chemicals, and all sorts of issues to it, and have to add added sugar to be able to make up for the taste issues.
Yep.
So, and a variety of other issues too that they have to make up for. So so it's incredible. So now I don't even, it's like hard to say what wine is, because it's like 0 to 3 grams of carbs in a glass of wine if we drink clean crafted wine, and no toxins that cause fat cells, right? When a normal glass of wine could be like not anywhere from 6 to 12 grams of carb. We don't know. We have no idea. So
and it's nice because with clean crafted, I can enjoy wine again, because like I had told you a while back, like I stopped drinking it because I could only taste the sugar.
That's how I was.
Yep.
Yeah. And because when you eat really clean, like we do, as much as we can, I mean, I had ice cream last night, but when you do that, you are very sensitive to the sugar, right?
Yeah, you are. Yep.
So the other piece around carbs that we can just mention really quick is fiber. So when you're looking at carbs, there's fiber. If there's the more fiber, the better. Yep. So fiber is something that it's non-digestible. We don't use it for energy. So we don't have to count it as part of our carbs. Mm-hmm. You can, and it's fine too, but like it will leave you fuller longer. It will satisfy that. It helps balance your blood sugar. It's when you eat food that's higher in fiber, you're naturally eating better food.
Yes, you are.
So our whole foods are going to have so much more fiber in them than anything else. So we want fiber because it will help balance our blood sugar. It will help us lose more weight. It will give us more nutrients, because naturally food with more fiber is more nutrient dense. Yeah. So if you are though looking, let's say you're going to have an English muffin, for example. Okay. Yeah, I know that has gluten in it and all of that kind of stuff. Let's just use it. And you had a regular English muffin or a whole wheat. A lot of people think a whole wheat is just better for you. Mm-hmm. It's literally, they both have gluten. They're not any better. They'll turn into sugar in your body, all of that kind of stuff. Right. But a white English muffin is going to have more carbs and no fiber. Yeah, a whole wheat English muffin is not any healthier for you, really, but it will have less carbs, and you can subtract the fiber from it. So if you want to have, an English muffin and not feel deprived, it's an easier swap to go whole wheat. Yeah. It's not healthier for you, but you're not going to raise your blood sugar as much.
Right, because of the fiber that's in it. Yeah.
It's about understanding those carbs and understanding how it all works. So here's the thing. We have, every once in a while, we run our free seminars. Because we care so much about teaching. We're educators and want to make sure that people learn. So we have a 3-day seminar coming up. If you haven't done one of our seminars before, you have to sign up for it. It's fun. We have contests, but we house it in a separate Facebook group. Every day you're going to get about 5 posts or so and video teaching from me. And then at night, our coaches go live and kind of do a little bit more teaching. We have contests if you engage, a lot of self-reflection and kind of an ability to really kind of look at yourself and think about some of the things you're doing and learn a lot of really great information. So we want people to sign up. Go to disruptyournutrition.com/seminar. Go sign up for that. This week we are doing registrations and we'll do some bonus posts over the weekend and then we'll really start on Monday. So make sure you go and sign up for the seminar. But every show we have a special bonus offer. I always have a secret code, right, Deb?
I love it. I love the secret codes.
I know. The secret codes are fun. And when you do, you listen to the secret code and send it to Deb or I via private message in Facebook, and you're going to get something special. It just tells us that you've listened. And we really care that people, we spend the time to do this and we want people to learn, right? So our special code is, what is our special code today? Eat carbs.
Carbs.
I have all my notes in front of me and I'm like, I can't find it. Eat carbs. Okay. Now, if you have eat carbs, this is what you get. So we have our special recipe subscription. Now, the reason why our recipe subscription is so incredible is because you cannot find it. Trust me, I have looked. It is hard. It's easy to eat PFC if you're like, okay, turkey, almonds, apple, chicken, avocado, thin stackers, like basic, quick things. Fine, fast, easy. In fact, we have 101 PFC meal ideas. You can look for that. It's simple, disruptingnutrition.com/101PFC. But you can go on our website. You can go look for that. But that's simple. It's not cooking. It's just like putting pieces of the puzzle together. It's ingredients, right? But when you're cooking for your family, when you are trying to like make this something that's really not just feeling like you're eating just simple, basic food. We had actually somebody that once said, I don't want to eat like that. Like I love chilies and I love sauces and yes. So our recipe subscription, our recipes are amazing. And we've always had them in our membership group, but you can't join our membership group unless you do our 4 weeks to wellness. So this allows you to have access to our recipes every month, because we recently started our recipe subscription. So if you sign up for our recipe subscription, cancel anytime, $17 a month, you will get a month filled of PFC balanced recipes, and almost all of them are clean.
Yeah.
And so it is so simple. And I'm definitely not a chef, but I have over the years figured out cooking. And the key is that any recipe that I might either I want to make or I base off of another recipe, none of them are PFC balanced.
Right, exactly.
You can go to all the clean eating magazines there are, none of them are PFC balanced. Literally none. So I take every single month and I am cooking and trying and I am adjusting ingredients so that every single meal is PFC balanced.
Right.
You can't find that anywhere. And then I do a recording of tips and tricks and all the kind of background information and some more nutritional tips every single month. So you get the month of recipes, 2 bonus recipes, as well as the video recording. So if you do that, $17 a month, we're going to give you an extra recipe bundle of either a whole bunch of extra chicken recipes or a bundle of chili and soup recipes. Deb actually put these together, and they're a compilation of our favorite chicken recipes all in one place, or our favorite chilies and soups. And with the fall coming, I think that the chilies and soup.
Chilies and soup are like my favorite in the fall. So
if you subscribe to the recipe subscription, disruptyournutrition.com/recipes, then we will give you one of those recipe bundles for free. But you got to tell me the code, eat carbs. And we don't say that code and we don't give that bonus anywhere else in this group, only here.
Right.
Okay? So that is it. Next month we have a new theme, new learning. And so we're so excited to be able to share that with you. So tune in next week for another episode.